Understanding your self-worth is the foundation for not only reattracting someone, but also for building a healthy, lasting relationship with yourself and others. When you deeply know your value, you stop trying to prove yourself to people who cannot see it. Instead, you naturally begin to attract those who resonate with your authenticity. Many people think that winning someone back requires persuasion, pleading, or performing, but in reality, the strongest magnet for love is an unshakable sense of self-worth. Self-worth is not arrogance, and it is not pretending to be indifferent. It's the quiet confidence that says, I know I am enough, even if someone else hasn't realized it yet. It allows you to let go of needing someone to complete you, and that inner strength is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. When you're rooted in your self-worth, you don't chase because you understand that what is meant for you will not require you to beg for it. You show up as yourself fully and let others meet you where you are. Many people fall into the trap of self-doubt when someone pulls away. You may begin to question everything, your appearance, your words, your behavior. But the truth is, someone pulling away does not mean you are lacking. Often, it has more to do with their personal journey, fears, or limitations than with any failure on your part. But without self-worth, it's easy to internalize their actions and turn them into proof that you are not lovable. That's where the damage begins, and that's what needs healing first. Rebuilding your self-worth means reconnecting with yourself. It requires spending time alone without trying to fill the silence. It involves asking, who am I without needing someone else to validate me? What makes me feel fulfilled, excited, inspired? What do I truly want in a relationship, and what have I been willing to tolerate out of fear of losing someone? These questions are not easy, but they are essential. Because once you begin answering them honestly, you'll find that your standards rise, your clarity sharpens, and your self-respect becomes non-negotiable. When you operate from self-worth, you stop viewing someone's absence as a reflection of your inadequacy. Instead, you begin to see it as a natural part of life's sorting process. People leave sometimes. That doesn't mean you were wrong to care, and it doesn't mean they were wrong for leaving. It just means you both are moving toward growth, and whether that growth brings you back together or not, you will be okay. This kind of peace only comes when your value is not dependent on being chosen by someone else. You also begin to show up differently in your interactions. You become less reactive and more reflective. If he reaches out, you're no longer driven by fear of losing him instead. You assess whether his actions align with your values. You ask, is this connection adding to my peace or disturbing it? Is he showing consistency, effort, and emotional maturity, or just seeking comfort without commitment? These are the kinds of questions that a strong sense of self-worth empowers you to ask without guilt. Self-worth also influences how you carry yourself. People can feel when you respect yourself, and they respond to that energy. You no longer need to explain yourself, chase validation, or play games to be noticed. Your presence becomes magnetic because it is rooted in truth, not performance. Even your silence can be powerful when it comes from a place of self-trust rather than fear of rejection. You allow things to unfold naturally, not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about your own emotional health. It's important to remember that reattracting someone is not about changing yourself to fit their preferences. It's about returning to the version of you that felt most alive before you became consumed by the fear of losing them. Maybe that was the version who laughed easily, took care of herself, had dreams outside the relationship, and didn't hesitate to walk away from what didn't feel right. That version of you didn't need to chase, she inspired connection by simply being herself. So, when you focus on self-worth, you're not playing hard to get your genuinely becoming someone worth getting close to again. You don't punish, manipulate, or withdraw to teach a lesson. You simply rise, and in doing so, you remind the other person of what they were drawn to in the first place, your light, your strength, and your centered presence. Whether or not they come back, your life begins to expand in ways that make you proud. In the end, reattracting someone without chasing begins by coming home to yourself It's not about being flawless, but about being whole. When you operate from self-worth, you stop chasing love and start receiving it from yourself first, and eventually from someone who is ready to meet you with the same respect and commitment you give yourself. That's the ultimate power of self-worth, and it's the heart of any true, lasting connection. Emotional independence is a powerful and often overlooked element in the dynamics of attraction, especially when trying to reattract someone without appearing desperate or needy. It's the ability to maintain your emotional well-being without relying heavily on another person for validation, happiness, or stability. This doesn't mean shutting people out or avoiding vulnerability. Rather, it means being anchored in your own sense of self, regardless of someone else's actions or presence. Emotional independence is the bridge between self, love, and healthy connection. When you cultivate it, you no longer cling to others to feel worthy. You bring your full self to the table and allow relationships to enhance, not complete, your life. When someone distances themselves or leaves, it's natural to feel a wave of emotions: sadness, confusion, perhaps even panic. Many people react by trying to reestablish the connection as quickly as possible, believing that reuniting will fix the emotional discomfort they're experiencing. But that approach often backfires because it's rooted in emotional dependence, the belief that you cannot feel okay unless this person is close to you again. The more you rely on someone to soothe your emotions, the more power you give away. Emotional independence, on the other hand, is about reclaiming that power and learning to soothe yourself with compassion, clarity, and self-awareness. By choosing to become emotionally independent, you create space for personal healing. Instead of trying to control the external situation, whether he calls, texts, returns, you turn inward and ask, "What am I feeling and why?" You begin to recognize your emotional triggers not as weaknesses, but as invitations for growth. You take responsibility for your own inner world rather than expecting someone else to manage it for you. This not only strengthens your resilience, but also changes the energy you bring into your interactions. People are naturally more drawn to those who are emotionally steady, not because they are unaffected, but because they manage their emotions with maturity. An emotionally independent person is not cold or distant. They are engaged, present, and self-aware. They can enjoy deep connection without losing themselves in the process. This is a rare and beautiful balance. Emotional independence allows you to love fully without becoming emotionally entangled. You can miss someone without obsessing over them. You can want someone without needing them to validate your worth. You can give love freely, but you don't depend on receiving it back to feel whole. This is the mindset that not only preserves your dignity during times of separation, but also reawakens attraction because it shows strength and emotional balance. When you're emotionally dependent, you tend to respond to distance or silence with anxiety. You may overtext, overthink, or try to win someone back through overgiving, but emotional independence teaches you a different approach. It gives you the ability to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. It helps you trust that space is not inherently negative. Sometimes space is necessary for perspective, growth, and clarity. When you embrace this, your actions come from a grounded place, not from fear of loss, but from confidence in your own journey. The journey toward emotional independence often involves reprioritizing your life. You begin investing more time in things that nourish you, your hobbies, passions, friendships, health, and personal goals. You start building a life that excites you, one that isn't centered around waiting for someone to come back. Ironically, the more full your life becomes without them, the more likely they are to feel drawn back to you. Why? Because you no longer carry the energy of desperation. Instead, you radiate contentment, self-respect, and purpose, qualities that are deeply attractive and comforting to be around. Being emotionally independent also means learning how to sit with discomfort without trying to numb it. It's about becoming your own emotional anchor. When painful emotions rise, rejection, loneliness, longing, you don't immediately seek external relief. You sit with those emotions, give them names, and allow them to move through you. You journal, meditate, talk to trusted friends, or engage in creative expression. These practices help you build emotional muscles. Over time, you realize you're capable of handling far more than you thought, without falling apart, without needing someone else to rescue you. Emotional independence brings clarity. Once the fog of attachment starts to clear, you begin to see the situation from a more balanced perspective. You no longer see the other person as the sole source of your happiness. You can assess the relationship objectively. Was it truly fulfilling? Were your needs being met? Were you growing together or drifting apart? This clarity not only helps you decide whether to reconnect, but also what you want and deserve moving forward. Most importantly, emotional independence gives you freedom. The freedom to love without fear, to connect without clinging, and to let go without breaking. It allows you to walk away from situations that don't serve you, not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about your peace and future. It allows you to open your heart again, not because you need love to feel whole, but because you have so much love within you already. So if your goal is to reattract him without chasing, emotional independence is not a tactic, it's a transformation. It's about becoming emotionally whole so that you naturally inspire interest, trust, and respect. When you stop outsourcing your emotional stability to someone else, you become truly magnetic. Whether he returns or not becomes secondary because you're no longer living in reaction to someone else's choices. You're living from your own grounded truth, and that, more than anything, is what makes love sustainable and real. The idea of attracting rather than chasing is not just about dating strategy. It is a shift in mindset, energy, and emotional behavior. To attract rather than chase means to hold space for love instead of scrambling for it. It is rooted in self-awareness and emotional maturity, and it becomes most powerful when you genuinely trust that what is meant for you will not require begging, proving, or performing. When you focus on attracting, you are in a position of strength, alignment, and confidence. When you chase, you are often operating from fear, insecurity, and scarcity. One creates respect and interest. The other often results in emotional exhaustion and imbalance. Chasing often comes from the belief that you need to win someone back before it's too late. It can show up as overcalling, texting too much, constantly seeking reassurance, or bending your boundaries to keep someone's attention. The problem with chasing is that it's emotionally draining and energetically off-putting. It gives the impression that you do not believe in your own worth, because if you did, you wouldn't have to fight so hard to be noticed or chosen. True attraction, on the other hand, comes when you trust your value so deeply that you're willing to let go of what isn't showing up for you fully. Attracting is not manipulation or playing games. It's not about pretending to be unavailable to create intrigue. It's about becoming genuinely centered in your own life and letting someone meet you in your wholeness. When you focus on attracting, you pour your energy into your own growth, joy, and goals. You don't wait by the phone, you go live your life. You don't make every decision based on how to please or impress someone else. You act in alignment with your truth. And from that place, your energy becomes magnetic because it is authentic and confident. People are naturally drawn to those who are self-assured, passionate, and emotionally balanced. When you chase, you may get attention, but it often lacks depth or staying power because it's built on pressure, not genuine connection. Attraction, however, invites curiosity, respect, and desire. When someone feels that you're secure in yourself, they are more likely to feel emotionally safe with you. And emotional safety is what creates the conditions for someone to want to return or build something lasting. The mindset of attracting also requires patience. Sometimes, in the rush to reconnect, people push too hard, too fast, but attraction builds in space. It allows both people to reflect, to miss each other, and to assess their own desires. If you're constantly showing up in their inbox, calling, or dropping hints, you're not allowing that space to exist. Attraction gives both parties the breathing room to rediscover their feelings without pressure or guilt. Letting go of chasing does not mean you stop caring, it means you stop forcing. There's a difference between showing interest and overinvesting. Expressing genuine care in a moment of vulnerability is human and healthy. But when care turns into constant pursuit, especially without reciprocation, it becomes emotionally unsustainable. Attracting, on the other hand, means showing care where it's received, and gracefully pulling back where it's not. A key part of learning to attract is shifting from outcome focus to self-focus. When you're obsessed with how to get them back, you put all your energy outside yourself. You become reactive to their behavior, their silence, their choices. But when you return your focus to your own energy, goals, and healing, you start to feel empowered again. You remember what brings you joy, what makes you feel strong, what you were passionate about before the relationship. That reconnection with yourself is the real source of attraction. Another important element is emotional neutrality. When you stop chasing, you let go of emotional extremes. You're not swinging between hope and despair based on whether they called or not. You begin to operate from a grounded place where you are open to possibilities but not defined by them. This emotional neutrality creates peace within you, and that peace is deeply attractive. It signals that you are not desperate for love but open to it from a place of strength and calm. One of the most overlooked parts of attracting is your physical and energetic presence. When you chase, your energy often feels tense, anxious, or overwhelming. But when you focus on attracting, your presence becomes more relaxed, inviting, and warm. You smile more easily, listen more fully, and express yourself more freely. You become more enjoyable to be around because you're not operating from a place of lack or urgency. Ultimately, attracting rather than chasing is a lifestyle change. It's about raising your standards, not to be rigid, but to protect your energy and emotional well-being. It's about showing up for yourself so consistently that others learn how to show up for you too. You don't need to chase when you're aligned with who you are. The right person will be drawn to you not because you pursued them relentlessly, but because you showed up authentically, lived fully, and respected yourself deeply. So if your goal is to re-attract someone without chasing, the answer is not found in strategies or tactics. It's found in your energy. Are you operating from fear or from faith in your own value? Are you trying to convince someone to choose you, or are you choosing yourself first and letting that choice radiate outward? The most irresistible energy in the world is not desperation, it's self-trust. Attracting is not about getting someone back, it's about getting yourself back first. From there, anything is possible. Nonverbal communication plays a significant, often underestimated role in attraction and emotional connection. While words can be used to explain, persuade, or express feelings, it's your nonverbal signals, your posture, facial expressions, tone, eye contact, and overall presence that often speak the loudest. When attempting to re-attract someone without chasing, mastering non-verbal communication becomes essential. It allows you to convey self, confidence, emotional strength, and openness without saying a word, all while preserving your dignity and self-respect. Many people are unaware that the way they carry themselves physically and energetically can either invite someone in or push them away. You may be saying all the right things, but if your body language communicates insecurity, tension, or emotional chaos, the other person can sense it, even subconsciously. Humans are wired to pick up on emotional energy, and we often make decisions about how we feel around someone not based on what they say, but on how they make us feel. Your nonverbal cues are always communicating something. The question is whether they're aligned with the message you intend to send. When you're rooted in self, worth, and emotional independence, your nonverbal signals naturally reflect that inner stability. You move differently. You make eye contact without seeking approval. You smile without forcing it. You stand tall, shoulders back, body relaxed, not rigid, not slouched, but present and composed. This kind of presence says, I am comfortable with myself. I don't need to chase, prove, or impress. That kind of energy is incredibly attractive, especially in contrast to anxious or overly eager behaviors that can emerge when someone is chasing instead of attracting. Nonverbal communication also helps you maintain boundaries and project clarity. For example, if you're meeting someone after a period of distance, your calm demeanor and open but grounded posture can speak volumes. You don't have to say, "I'm doing well without you." You show it through your peace, your smile, your glow. You don't have to say, "I still care, but I'm not desperate." That message is communicated in the way you listen attentively, make eye contact, and maintain your sense of ease regardless of what they say. Another powerful nonverbal tool is silence. Silence, when used intentionally, can be a strong communicator of self-respect and emotional control. When someone says something you don't agree with, you don't need to defend yourself immediately. A pause, a moment of silence, can show that you're processing, that you're not reactive, and that you value your emotional space. Similarly, giving someone space without demanding constant contact sends a clear signal. I respect your autonomy, and I value mine too. Tone of voice is another nonverbal aspect that carries emotional weight. Speaking too quickly or with nervous energy can communicate anxiety or insecurity. Speaking too forcefully can feel defensive or confrontational. But a steady, calm tone signals emotional maturity. It shows that you are in control of your feelings and don't need to dominate the conversation or rush through uncomfortable emotions. A calm voice paired with thoughtful words and warm body language creates a sense of safety and trust. Even your facial expressions carry meaning. A genuine smile, not a forced or overly eager one, can be disarming and reassuring. Eye contact should be natural, not intense or prolonged to the point of discomfort. When you're at peace within yourself, your face softens. There's a quiet confidence in your gaze that says, "I know who I am and I don't need to perform." That facial expression alone can reignite interest because it reflects strength, serenity, and openness all at once. Physical space also communicates boundaries and comfort. When you're too physically close too soon, it may feel intrusive. When you're too distant or closed off, it can seem cold or uninterested. But a comfortable physical distance, coupled with occasional, natural gestures, like a touch on the arm during a moment of shared laughter, can build connection without making you seem needy or overbearing. It's not about using touch to manipulate. It's about allowing your presence to be warm and inviting when it feels right. Even how you move through a room or interact with others when they're watching can influence how they perceive you. If you walk in with ease, greet people warmly, and carry yourself with poise, you project social value without saying a word. That kind of presence makes others wonder what has changed about you. It creates curiosity and admiration. You are no longer the version of yourself that felt incomplete without their attention. You've grown, and your energy shows it. The beauty of nonverbal communication is that it's always available to you. You don't have to wait for a chance to talk or explain your feelings. You can walk into a space and communicate everything you need to. Your strength, yourself, love, your openness. Just by being aligned in body, mind, and energy. This silent communication can often be more persuasive than any carefully worded message because it resonates on a deeper, emotional level. Ultimately, mastering non-verbal communication is not about manipulation. It's about aligning your external behavior with your internal growth. It's about showing, not telling, the truth of who you are becoming. When you use your nonverbal cues with intention and authenticity, you naturally begin to attract not just attention, but respect, admiration, and emotional reconnection. In many cases, someone may not even fully understand why they feel drawn to you again. They'll just sense the shift in your presence. And that, more than anything, is how true reattraction begins, not with words, but with the quiet, confident language of your presence.